Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome all of you. So today we are going to start our Bhagavad Gita. We have nicely understood about the basic foundation, some bit of understanding, and already we have conducted 1 month series on gems of wisdom and developed a lot of understanding insights. So I hope now you all are ready to understand the insights, the concept, the instructions which Krishna gave in Bhagavad Gita. So we'll start. Before that, we'll start with prayers. I request all of you to kindly join me in chanting prayers. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So the first chapter, the name is Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is a place which is there in very near to Delhi, nearby Delhi, some miles away, some 100 miles away from Delhi. And at that same very place, the battlefield, the Kurukshetra battlefield, the Mahabharat fight had been performed over there. So as I had already explained that Pandavas and Kauravas, they were brothers, but Kauravas, headed by Duryodhana, he was not ready to give any kind of property from Hastinapur to Pandavas, because the kingship, the position of the kingdom was, firstly it was given to Pandu, but then he died prematurely. Then it was given to Dhritarashtra. He became a caretaker king, but Dhritarashtra was blind. He cannot continue the king position. So now it should be handed down to somebody. And Yudhishthir was now very qualified, but Dhritarashtra wants that his son should ascend the throne. That was the main issue. That's how dispute began, because of over attachment of Dhritarashtra towards his son Duryodhana. This fight is now arranged in the Kurukshetra. Now both the parties are arrayed, both the sides. This side Pandavas party, other side Kauravas party, and Duryodhana is very anxious to fight and win the battle. Because why? Because Duryodhana is overconfident on his military armies, the generals, the experts, those who are fighting from the side of Duryodhana, because he had over faith on Bhishma, over faith, extraordinary faith. Bhishma and Karna and Dronacharya. These three personalities who are the game changers, and these three personalities were present on the side of Duryodhana. Therefore, he was very overconfident. So anyway, now everything is ready, and Dhritarashtra is asking from Sanjay that what has happened, what is happening in Kurukshetra battle. Dhritarashtra is not participating in the battlefield because he is, first of all, he is a king. Second thing, he is blind, so he cannot go and fight in the warfare. So he's sitting in Hastinapur in his palace and inquiring from Sanjay. So what was the inquiry? We'll understand. I'll share you the PPT. Before that, I would like to briefly give you the understanding what we had discussed yesterday and quickly come to our discussion today. Yesterday we had heard one story of doctor and patient, and then based on that we understood that we should not judge the people based on the seeing, based on our seeing perception. Otherwise, we will commit mistakes. And then we heard a story of person who used to burn the sandalwoods in order to convert the coals, and he will sell and make money because he was ignorant, he was not knowing the value of sandal, so he was burning and making coals and then making money. That fool, he was not knowing just by selling the sandalwood he can make a lot of money. So ignorance is not bliss, it is very, very dangerous. So therefore, in the same way, we also have got the human form of life, but we are ignorant of this precious gem what we have got, because we are not given the knowledge, we are ignorant. So therefore, what should be done, and what we are doing out of ignorance? We are exactly working like animals. Here you can see our all the activities are matching with animals, eating habits, sleeping habits, and mating habits, defense, all these things we are doing. Our all the advancements now, so our civilization has advanced so much, we have explored out space, developed so many, countless ways to tantalize our senses, so many instrumental and scientific advancement has happened. But what is the final touch? Touch is sense gratification like animals. But we don't understand that human form of life is not meant to experience the happiness which already animals are experiencing. We are meant to experience the happiness which are beyond sense gratification, but we are not taught. Therefore, we are simply dabbling in that sense gratification which is easily available to the animals. But actually, we are entitled to experience the happiness which are beyond the sense gratification. So therefore, for this thing only, we should receive the knowledge by approaching a bona fide authority. So when we approach Srila Prabhupada, by the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, now the whole world is now enlightened, and they have come to know that, oh, this is the purpose of life. Like we are now today sitting here and discussing about the higher subject matter, which is not on the platform of material plane, which is beyond material plane. This is all because of mercy of Srila Prabhupada. We are able to here sit and discuss and get the understanding which are beyond sense gratification. Otherwise, before this understanding, our life was also based on sense gratification, working like animals. Our perception was that only. We were never thought of that some life exists beyond this also. But just because of Prabhupada's grace, whole world came to know, and then they started following it. So therefore, Prabhupada says, and all the scriptures say, don't waste this valuable human form of life. Understand the value of it.
Aloha.
So this is what we had understood in yesterday's class. Now, for that matter only, Bhagavad Gita knowledge is spoken by the Supreme Lord Krishna, and now we have entered that discussion. So before that, this background should be understood, should be there in our consciousness, why we should take the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So now we'll hear one small clip from Tulsi Gabbard, who is from America. She is a very ardent follower of Bhagavad Gita. In fact, she reads also and preaches also. Not only reads, but preaches also wherever she gets opportunity. Any auditorium, any big gathering, she will definitely speak about Bhagavad Gita teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So we'll hear from us the small clip, and then we'll continue our discussion.
Aloha and namaste. 2020 is certainly a year that will not soon be forgotten. For most, if not all of us, it has brought about many unexpected changes. Changes to our daily routines, our work, and even our relationships. But whenever we are put into difficult situations, it gives us the opportunity to take shelter in the loving protection of the Supreme Lord, our supreme friend. It propels us to reflect upon and draw upon the lessons we've learned from the past, and also to consider what changes we can make to live a better life now and in the future. So if we take the opportunity to slow down and connect with what really matters, we can enjoy a gentler, more meaningful existence. And the challenges we face today, both as individuals and as a society right now, are tremendous. The uncertainty that this year has brought has made me personally reflect upon the time that I spent deployed in the Middle East. That too was a time in my life when there was danger at every step. Each day brought new uncertainties, and likewise, many lives were lost. My shelter then and now has been the Bhagavad Gita, which means Song of God. The Bhagavad Gita spoken by Sri Krishna is full of transcendental wisdom that is as relevant today as it was 5,000 years ago when it was spoken. On this holy day of Janmashtami, when we celebrate the appearance of Sri Krishna in this world, it is the perfect time to reflect on his sublime instructions, which are like a transcendental lifeline. When we are blown here and there by the strong winds of change, when giant waves are crashing upon us, when we're feeling unsteady, lost, adrift, the Bhagavad Gita offers us guidance and hope. Looking at our problems through the prism of eternality, rather than merely identifying with our temporary material circumstances, gives us an anchor that offers great peace, purpose, and stability through even the most trying of times. May we always be blessed with remembrance of Sri Krishna, his unconditional love, and his transcendental appearance in this world. Jaya Shri Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I hope you understood what she conveyed. A very important line what was told in the video was Bhagavad Gita is transcendental lifeline where we can refer and get all the gems, all the solutions of all our problems. Bhagavad Gita is song of Krishna, which was spoken 5,000 years before, and now also it is relevant. Even today, if you are having any problem, just open Bhagavad Gita and read any verse, you will get some hope, rays of hope. So, okay, so now we'll start our discussion. The name of first chapter is Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. Here you can see both the sides, armies are laid, arranged, and Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. Now, Dhritarashtra, this Bhagavad Gita dialogue, in fact, dialogue is happening between four personality. One is between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is asking from Sanjay, and Sanjay is giving the understanding, the instruction to Dhritarashtra. This is one dialogue between Sanjay and Dhritarashtra. Second dialogue is happening between Krishna and Arjun in battlefield. So in fact, in Bhagavad Gita, if you read, so this Bhagavad Gita is in first it starts from Dhritarashtra's inquiries, then Sanjay goes on explaining what is happening in the battlefield to Dhritarashtra. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is compiled of the dialogue of Sanjay and Dhritarashtra, which also contains the dialogues of Krishna and Arjun. Because Sanjay was blessed by his spiritual master Vedavyas, he had got the divine eyes by which he can see anything happening in any part of the universe in his heart. So he was sitting along with his master Dhritarashtra, who was blind, and explaining everything what is happening in the battlefield. So Dhritarashtra inquires. The first verse is Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samveta Yuyutsavah Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Akurvat Sanjaya. O Sanjay, Kim means kya? Kya Akurvat means karna. Kya kar rahe hain? O Sanjay. मामका पांडवाश्चैव, मेरे और पांडवों के बेटे, जो पांडु हैं उनके बेटे क्या कर रहे हैं? कहां पर? धर्म क्षेत्र कुरुक्षेत्र, जो कुरुक्षेत्र जो कि धर्म क्षेत्र भी है, कुरुक्षेत्र को धर्म क्षेत्र भी बोला जाता है। धर्म क्षेत्र, वाई? बिकॉज since time immemorial Kurukshetra has become the place of performing all the sacrifices. The demigods would come in the place of Kurukshetra. They will perform the sacrifices and different kinds of yajna, all kinds of spiritual activities, religious activities used to get performed on the battlefield, on the Kurukshetra. And that same place, now the warfare is happening, Mahabharat battle is happening. So therefore Dhritarashtra is asking from Sanjay, after assembling in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Samaveta Yuyutsa means they have now assembled. So what they are doing? Who? Pandavas and Mamaka, my sons and Pandavas, what are they doing? So this is the inquiry. The first verse begins with Dhritarashtra's inquiries. So in Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra spoke one verse, and that is the first verse only. And after this, Sanjay would speak. In the first chapter, more or less, Sanjay only speaks. Then in the conclusion, Arjuna starts speaking. Arjuna asks Krishna to draw his chariot in between the armies, both the armies. And more or less from second chapter, Krishna starts speaking Bhagavad Gita, and he starts giving the transcendental instruction. So now the background, Krishna is now setting the background so that he can speak Bhagavad Gita and give the transcendental understanding. So here in this verse, Prabhupada very nicely explains about the mentality of Dhritarashtra. Why? Because now after both the parties, now they have assembled in the battlefield, so what they will do? Naturally they will fight. So why Dhritarashtra is asking such question is very, very relevant. And Prabhupada in the purport very nicely has explained that because Prabhupada gives one example, just like suppose you have gone to some cafeteria, some restaurant to eat something. So after, along with your friends, you have gone there to get some, your favorite item to enjoy there. So after going to restaurant, what will you do? Naturally, you will eat. You will get your tasty food and then you will enjoy. So there is no question of asking from your friend, अच्छा तुम रेस्टोरेंट में जाके क्या किए? रेस्टोरेंट में जाके naturally will eat. There is no question of asking क्या किया. But here same thing we are seeing here. Dhritarashtra, even after he understands that both the parties, they are now assembled in the Kurukshetra, but why Dhritarashtra is asking such a question? What are they doing to Sanjaya? Because very nicely Prabhupada writes in the purport, Dhritarashtra was very, very fearful that this battlefield is this battle is happening in Kurukshetra, which is very, very religious place. And Pandavas are religious, they are righteous, they are very, very virtuous, they are the follower of religion. So naturally this place will influence upon the Yudhishthira side, and they will emerge victorious, and we may lose the battle. Therefore he is very, very fearful. Now you can understand by this inquiry of Dhritarashtra, already Dhritarashtra is doubtful about the consequence of the battlefield. And second thing, he knows that my sons headed by Duryodhana, they are all irreligious and they are not following the right path. They are at false. They are not on the right path. And actually this understanding Dhritarashtra had. But still he was desiring that his son should become king. Duryodhana should become king. So by this we can understand that Prabhupada explains in his lecture, Dhritarashtra was not only blind materially, but he was blind spiritually also. Andha yathandir upaniyamana. In Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj gives very nice instruction that Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu durashaya ye bahirarthamanina. Nate vidu. Nate. Vidu means to know. Na means not. Don't know. Te means these materialistic people, those who are materially motivated, they are materially attached, just like this Dhritarashtra. Why all this? What is why this battle is happening? The main root cause of this battle, the fight is attachment of Dhritarashtra towards his son. This attachment is the root cause of this warfare, Mahabharat warfare, and that led to a big destruction. Crores and crores of people got killed in that battle, only because Dhritarashtra was very much attached to his son. So here in Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj says, Nate viduhu swarthagatim hi Vishnu. So today, the people who are materially motivated, they don't know what is the real self-interest. Selfish is, to become selfish is not bad. But what is the real selfishness? They don't know. That is Swartha Gatim hi Vishnu, to get enlightened. Who am I? Who is Krishna? And what is my relationship? And but what they are doing, they are not knowing this understanding. They don't know who is Krishna, who am I. But what they are knowing, what they are well expert in, they are expert in Nate Vidu Swartha Gatim hi Vishnu Durasaya ye Bahirarth Manina. They are considering this external things as themselves. Bahirarth Manina. जो बाहर की चीजें उसको अर्थ मीन्स बहुत ज्यादा मीनिंग दे रखा है. मानिना they are considering. And andha yathandir upaniyamana. Why? Because they are following the blind leaders. Andha yathandir upaniyamana. Upani means following. Te pi satan. Because of this, because they are following the blind leaders, they are very tightly bound by the three modes of material nature. What are the three modes of material nature? Krishna has explained in Bhagavad Gita in 14th chapter. Very nicely he has explained. We'll discuss that. Sattva guna, Raja guna, and Tamo guna. By these three modes, we all are influenced and tightly bound. We are not independent. Don't think that we are very, very independent. Whatever we want, we can access that desire. No. Our desires are also influenced by the three modes. Our activities are influenced by the three modes. Even if you want to not to perform the activity, you will be forced to perform the activity if you are influenced by Rajaguna. And if you want to perform the activity, but if you are influenced by the mode of ignorance, then you cannot perform. You will be lethargic. You will not feel from inside to do the activity. So like this, we are always influenced. So this verse says, we don't know what is real self-interest, and we are blinded by the external growth. Like today, you see this, why this today in Ukraine and Russia, why this fight is happening? Because blind leaders don't know what is the real self-interest. Russia is thinking my real self-interest is to capture Ukraine, and Ukraine is thinking my interest is to get connected with NATO. So this is all external arrangements they are trying to make, and that's why this big destruction is happening now. So now just see, all these things are happening. If you read in the history, if you go and see the history, any battlefield has happened, any war has happened just because of external attachment, material attachment. They are very much attached, and because they don't want to give up that attachment, and they want to hook on that attachment, and that leads to big warfare, big destruction. Maybe it is Mahabharat battlefield, or it is today's Russia and Ukraine battle which is going on. So what is the basic principle of war? Attachment. And because of attachment, we get blinded. Even externally, we are seeing everything, but actually we are blinded. We cannot see the things. It is said in Bhagavatam, when we are very much attached, Pashyanti, we are seeing, but we are not able to see. पश्यन् अपि न पश्यति, हम देख रहे हैं फिर भी उसको देखकर नहीं देख पा रहे हैं. This happens when we are very much attached to material things, material stuff, and that is the case with Dhritarashtra. So here very nicely Prabhupada has explained in the purport, because Dhritarashtra was materially attached to his son, so he wanted kingdom to be given to his son. So but it was not the right decision, because Duryodhana was not a right person to sit on the throne to lead the kingdom. But he wanted this, and therefore this Mahabharat battle was arranged. And another thing we can understand, that Dhritarashtra was not externally blind, but spiritually also he was blind. He was not knowing what is right, what is wrong, and what should we follow. Our life should be based on principles, religious principles. So the authority's instruction, what the authorities are saying, that we should follow, then we'll be happy. Otherwise, what our senses are saying, if we follow that, then we'll be doomed. Our life will become hellish, will reach to the destruction if we follow our senses, because senses are now uncontrolled. Senses will only demand sense gratification, and more you do sense gratification, more we'll go to the darkest region. So therefore we should always follow the authority. We should not trust on our mind, on our senses. We should rather follow the instructions of the authority. And who is the best authority? That is Krishna. So we should make Krishna as our authority, as our guiding principle, and we should start reading Bhagavad Gita, and get the guidance, get the instruction through a spiritual master, a bona fide authority. Because Bhagavad Gita instruction is very, very difficult to understand. By ourselves we cannot figure out. So we require via media of spiritual master, that is Srila Prabhupada, who has very nicely explained in Bhagavad Gita, and that also we cannot understand. So to understand that also we require guidance of another devotee who has read that and understood. So if we follow this process, then we can easily understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and we can implement in our lives also. Okay, so with this I'll stop today's discussion. So today we discussed about how, attachment is very, very dangerous. So we should not be very materially attached. Currently our situation is we are overly attached with material things. And when problem kya attachment mein? Attachment is not bad. Attachment is the quality of the soul, but we have placed our attachment to the wrong place. That is the problem. Attachment to temporary thing will take you to frustration. You will get frustrated, because sooner or later that thing or that situation will get separated, because this world is temporary world, and you are expecting that thing should remain along with me always, but not neither you are going to remain always, not the object is going to remain always. So if object goes away, then you will suffer, and if you go before, then that person will suffer who is attached to you. So therefore attachment is never encouraged with material stuff. Attachment is encouraged where? To eternal things, which is yours, which is your real thing. With that you get attached, not which is not yours, which will get separated. So we should not be materially attached like Dhritarashtra. If agar hum materially attached hain, then our mentality will become like Dhritarashtra, and that will be destructive. कोई good instruction देगा, हमें समझ में नहीं आएगा. विदुर ने इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया, कृष्ण खुद आए इंस्ट्रक्शन दिए, भीष्म पितामह इंस्ट्रक्शन दिए, गांधारी उनकी खुद की वाइफ ने इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया, but Dhritarashtra could not understand. And so was the case with Duryodhana. Duryodhana was also, as his father was blind, he was also blind both materially and spiritually, Duryodhana. So we should, because they did not follow the authority, they followed their senses, their dictates of the senses. They followed the wrong person, Shakuni. So we should see here. Now the association is again very, very important factor. Now we'll discuss all these things in next class. So with this I'll stop. Thank you very much, and I request all of you kindly start chanting Hare Krishna mantra, because without chanting Hare Krishna mantra there is no chance to understand first. Even if you are able to understand, you cannot implement this instruction in your life. So therefore I request you, this is very very practical classes we are conducting. This is not something motivation which happens outside. We are materially motivated. Yes, I will do, but घर पे आके सब खत्म, सो जाते हैं, फिर से social media, all those things we get indulged into. But here we have to take the advantage of this half an hour discussion. सुन के उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना है। लेकिन इम्प्लीमेंट कैसे कर पाएंगे? इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए आपको स्ट्रेंथ चाहिए, ज्ञान बल क्रिया। ज्ञान तो ले लिया आपने, तो बल चाहिए ना। नाउ पावर यू वांट टू डू, टू परफॉर्म द एक्टिविटीज, क्रिया कर्म करने के लिए, टू ब्रिंग इट इनटू योर प्रैक्टिस, यू रिक्वायर स्पिरिचुअल स्ट्रेंथ, एंड दैट स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द सोल will come when you chant Hare Krishna. This is very very practical thing what I am training you. If you follow, you can see in very near future, 10-15 days, you can see the changes in your life. So start chanting Hare Krishna and start and keep on attending the classes. Two things if you could do for next 2-3 months, then you see tremendous change has happened in your life. Many habits you can conquer, bad habits you can throw away, good thoughts, good positive vibes you can have along with you. And more or less, these are all material byproducts which you will get, how to be happy in this material world. But Bhagavad Gita is spoken for 3 reasons. What are those 3 reasons? We'll discuss that in later class. So keep attending the classes and keep chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and then you can derive benefit. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions, then please you can ask, otherwise you can carry to your other work.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु, धन्यवाद, प्रणाम। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन था,
हरे कृष्णा। हाँ, यस पीयूष,
कि what are the reasons we are not able to come out from ignorance or mode of ignorance?
Ignorance we are in because we are not having the knowledge. First of all, sometimes atmosphere also forces us to remain in ignorance. The kind of atmosphere we are living. Are you able to hear me?
Yes bro. हाँ बोलिए, सुन।
So when we are, if there are 5 factors which affects. First, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in 18th chapter, one factor is the ambient, the surrounding in which you are living. Suppose surrounding is very very ignorant, tamogun surrounding है, तो naturally if you go there you will also become ignorant. आप भगवद गीता क्लास अटेंड करके गए हैं मटेरियलिस्टिक के बीच में, दो जो लोग बहुत ज्यादा सेल्फ ग्रेटिफिकेशन करते हैं, तो आप वहां जाके क्या भगवद गीता प्रैक्टिस कर पाएंगे टीचिंग्स? नहीं, you will definitely get influenced by the mode of ignorance. The first thing what we can do is practical instruction is see your associations, see your surrounding, whether it is under ignorance or into passion or into goodness. So we should desire to be in the mode of goodness. We should see that where mode of goodness is prominent, there we can live, and then naturally you'll get out of ignorance. Otherwise, even if you struggle very hard to get out of ignorance, because that surrounding will influence you, because that surrounding is highly influenced by mode of ignorance. So that mode of ignorance will influence you also, and you also will go into ignorance. Therefore, and if ignorance is there, then you will be having all the destructive ideas, thoughts, material attachments, so many other bad habits you will be there. You will be always disturbed, depressed, बुरी आदतों से परेशान रहेंगे, बुरे बुरे ख्यालात आएंगे आपको, and those thoughts will be haunting you always if you are into mode of ignorance. So we should see whether our ambience, our surrounding is good or not. So we should work on this. And second thing, कि हम अच्छे से chant करें, प्रभुपाद के लेक्चर को सुने, प्रभुपाद का लेक्चर यूट्यूब पे अवेलेबल है, उसको सुने हम थोड़ा एटलीस्ट, एंड एसोसिएशन में रेगुलर रहें. So by these things we can get out of ignorance. ठीक है पीयूष?
हाँ प्रभु, ठीक, समझ गए.
ओके, एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? किसी और का कोई क्वेश्चन है?